Are you over here watching YouTubers just in awe of their ability to put themselves out here and you're just like, I don't know if I could ever do that? Then this video is for you. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you can be notified every time I post a Speak, Grow, Rise video. And also be sure to like this video and share it with your friends. My name is Jamie Hammond, and this is Speak, Grow, Rise, where I help young professionals just like you speak, grow, and rise. And today we're talking about something that is hard for a lot of people, and that's overcoming the fear of being seen or the fear of putting yourself out there. In this video, I'm going to go over some of the ways that I overcome my own fear so that you can overcome your own fear of putting yourself out there. Oftentimes, putting yourself out there can be really difficult. And so what we do is we make excuses to not do that. And then oftentimes we also regret not putting ourselves out there because maybe we have a business that we want to start or a message that we want to share, and then are filled with regret that we haven't taken the opportunity to do that. So if that's you, this video is perfect for you. Before we get started, be sure to grab a piece of paper or a journal and a pen so that we can start writing through some of these journal questions. All right, question number 1. First, dissect the fear by asking yourself why you are afraid. After you've written out why you feel you are afraid, take it one step further and ask yourself, what is the advantage to blocking myself with this fear? And the reason why we want to look into the advantage of why it is that we're blocking ourselves from the fear is because oftentimes there is some kind of need that we're trying to meet. If there's an advantage to not putting yourself out there, then maybe you are saving yourself from discomfort, or you're saving yourself from rejection, or you are preventing, in the case of a business, you are preventing yourself from taking on a client, even though you want a client. You're preventing yourself from taking them on because you are afraid that they might write you a bad review in the future. And so understanding why you are afraid, and then why it is that you feed into that fear and what that's feeding, ultimately what need that's feeding, can help you get down to why it is you do it so that you can overcome that fear. Next, ask yourself about what the worst and best case scenarios would be. So there's 2 parts to this question. First, you want to write out what the very best scenario could be. And so when I say best scenario, I mean ideal scenario. What's the absolute, if everything worked out the way that it would, like let's say you want to speak up at work, it would be, the best case scenario would be that you'd get an award, or that people would give you a standing ovation, right? It can be whimsical. The point of this is to just explore. Next, write down what the worst case scenario would be. And so when I say worst case scenario, that again can be whimsical, or it can be as realistic as you want it to be. Work with the fear as well as you're writing out what the worst case scenario would be. But the main point of this is twofold: that you want to explore what that worst case scenario would be, and then also start to explore how your body feels when you are writing out the worst case scenario, so that you can first start to, see what this makes you feel like at all. And then next, ask yourself, is this a legitimate fear? Or is this something that maybe now that it's on paper is not as scary or as realistic as I was making it out to be in my head? Once you know the best and worst case scenario, then you can ask yourself, what's the most realistic thing that could happen? Usually it's something that would be closer to the middle of either of those scenarios, and you can prepare yourself for whatever those scenarios may be. Are you afraid of putting yourself out there? You're not alone. Go ahead and let me know what's going on down in the comments. Third, ask yourself who you could be putting yourself out there for. Would it be for yourself, or is it for somebody else? And the reason why it's important to break this down is because first you want to know what your own internal motivations are for this. Is it that you want to put yourself out there because you want money in the case of a business, or because you want accolades in the case of speaking up, or you want justice in the case of speaking up for something that is right? In all of these cases, it's good to know why it is that you want to put yourself out there at all, and what that fear might be stemming from. Second, It's also important to know if there are other people that you want to put yourself out there for instead. So, in the case of a business, it could be for your clients. In the case of a company and you're a leader, it could be the people you lead. In the case of justice, it could be the people that you want to speak out for justice for. And so, knowing what those motivations are could be enough of a reason to push you forward and push through that fear once you think through them. Number 5, ask yourself who could benefit from this. Similar to number 4, consider who it is that you could be helping as a result of putting yourself out there. Taking that leap, putting yourself out there, and doing the thing that you want to do could be really beneficial for the people that you want to serve. Or better, sometimes you putting yourself out there inspires other people to do the same thing just for the sake of you doing it. Remember that when you are putting yourself out there, it's not just for you, it's also for the world you want to create. And maybe that's enough of a reason for you to push through the fear as well. And finally, number 5, ask yourself, what is likely to hold me back? Or what kinds of excuses do I make when I am faced with the opportunity of putting myself out there and then I don't want to? A good example is one that's an individual example for me. Part of the reason why I'm filming this here in my bedroom with my frizzy hair, with my computer instead of a fancy camera, is in part because one of the things that I do to talk myself out of putting myself out there is by saying that what the setup that I have or the circumstances that I have are not good enough or not perfect enough. And so I implore you to ask yourself and to start paying attention to the kind of things that you use to hold yourself back and to live in that fear instead of putting yourself out there. If you know what those things are, you can combat them. For example, part of why I'm doing this now is to prove to myself that I can just make a video under any of these circumstances and that results may not vary as much as, if I've got like
the perfect setup with the good light and all of that.
That can be a good experiment for you too to prevent yourself from being overcome by that fear in the future. Now, if you're watching this video on the day it was posted, then you know that I recently put myself out there in a really big way. I quit my job. I launched a business, and then currently I recently announced that I'm in a 10-day challenge that's part of a coaching group that I'm in, where I am trying to sell $10,000 in my business over 10 days. And to do that, I've cut off 50% of my Ignite program. And so there is still time to get that amazing deal. There's only 3 more days to do that. And if you are interested in learning more, sign up for my email list where you can get a copy of the free 5-minute fire starter, which is the 5-minute version of the Ignite program that I coach with. And you'll get a taste for it yourself. To sign up for my email list, you can find the link below in the notes. There you have it. Those are 5 ways that you can use to overcome your fear of putting yourself out there or being seen. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.